Ah, gotcha. I was wondering why why I thought maybe she'd be on Zoom in the.
It's probably 11 or 12 o'clock there, you know.
That's true. One. Great. Okay, everyone, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, it's doing this again.
Do you mean the,
Yes.
technology is wonderful when it works.
Come on. Sorry, I'm having a bit of an issue with my iPad here.
What do you need?
I'm trying to get to the packet. There we go.
Got it?
Yeah, it was telling me I had no internal Wi-Fi connection. The router was not working. I don't know what it was doing.
The gremlins are at it again.
Yes, where are we here? Oh, no.
iPad's coming through
All right. Here we go. All right. Sorry about that. Technology is a wonderful thing when it's, except for when it's not. Welcome everyone to the Monday, September 26th, 2022 business meeting of the New Britain Township Board of Supervisors. The board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss land preservation and personnel. Thank you. The first item on our agenda is a presentation item, 409 West Butler Avenue, offsite sidewalk easement. If you'd like to please, if the applicant would like to step up, introduce themselves, and we can go from there.
Good evening, everyone. Kevin Riley, County Builders, owner, developer of the piece at 409 West Butler Avenue. Long story short, I'm happy to report that all's well that ends well. We've been able to secure we don't have the easement agreement now, but the Toll Brothers have agreed to a 15-foot wide sidewalk only easement. The easement has reduced from 30 feet combined sidewalk and utility easement to just a 15-foot wide sidewalk easement. They don't want any underground utilities across their property. I think we all agreed that the sidewalk was by far the most important item. So the good news is that the record plan, the construction drawing, that sidewalk has never changed. And we're also going to be able to install the stamped asphalt at both of the driveway entrances as well. So we're going to get that Butler Avenue look that we were all looking for. They also are not agreeable to the stormwater improvement in the back. I don't want to speak for them, but I think that they have thoughts of expanding, in the future. But they also, sometimes when they're real busy, I've seen trucks and stuff parked back there. So I think Craig will agree that that was a really minor item, and 3/4 of the stormwater is going to be captured by my project because everything runs straight down off of my site through the woods now, and we'll capture all that stormwater. We've also been successful in that we have secured the PennDOT permit for both the sanitary sewer that is now going to go in Butler Avenue and for the roadway work. So that is all done. That PennDOT permit has been secured. I've also had my engineer and surveyor prepare a legal description and an easement exhibit so that we can have the Spatola Brothers execute a formal easement agreement to prepare it by Mr. Garten, and we'll get that notarized and we'll get that recorded. I do have an email memorandum from them basically outlining what we're going to do. I might as well read it. Thanks for meeting with us again this morning. We had a meeting with them on Friday. Per that meeting, please acknowledge and confirm that Spatolas agrees to a 15-foot wide sidewalk easement along the frontage of their property along Butler Avenue. The easement will be for sidewalk only, and utilities will not be permitted to be installed in the easement. County Builders Inc. will install the sidewalk and restore the area at its sole cost. The New Britain Township Solicitor will prepare the easement agreement for your signature. Their advisor is Dave Solan, who's a commercial real estate broker, And he responded on Saturday, Kevin, Giovanni, and Mario Spatola agreed to give County Builders Inc. a 15-foot wide easement to install a sidewalk along the front of their property at 403 West Butler Avenue, Chatham, PA, signed by Dave Solan. So I have that included in the packet as well. Record plans are a total of 4 sheets. And 2 of those 4 sheets didn't have to change. And luckily, the only one sheet is a signature sheet, and that's one of the sheets that doesn't have to change either. So no new signatures are required. There's an easement sheet in here, and it just shows a 15-foot wide easement instead of a 30-foot wide easement. So we can just replace that, and then the sanitary sewer showing out on the road instead of going through the Spatola's property. Again, none of those documents need to be signed, so it's simply a slide in, slide out. In addition, about 2 weeks, maybe only a week ago, I dropped off everything needed to start the project, which included our certificate of insurance, our executed developers agreement, our performance bond, and all the fees that were required, including an extra $25,000 escrow check as a good faith in order to get started. So that was a total of $183,000 that we dropped off to get started. And I think we have everything now. So I'll defer to Craig and to Jeff to whether they agree, but I'm here asking, basically requesting to get started. I had preliminarily set a pre-con meeting with the township engineer and with Bucks County Conservation District for tomorrow, and I told them that we're only meeting if the Board of Supervisors allows us, and I'll let you know if they don't. So that's where we're at. My site contractor is chosen, and he's staked out the property. He's ready to go, but we can't start anything until we have a clear green light from both the township and the County Conservation District.
What we'll have to do is I'll do an amended resolution, if you're so inclined, to reduce the preference reduction in the width of the easement and also the elimination of the Spatola drainage work. And I think your office did review the additional documents, did they not?
Actually, just Janine sent that out this afternoon,
Yeah.
so we knew it was important to look at that. So the documents are actually ready to go. The exhibit and the legal description for that easement, we've already signed off on those. Sent those to Mr. Garton's office late this afternoon, so he'll be in position to prepare that easement agreement along with the amended resolution. And I believe those are the only 2 items that I have that need to be amended, is the sidewalk easement width. In fact, even the ordinance does contemplate giving you jurisdiction over what width an easement off-site. I think the ordinance is pretty loose, and it's on-site needs to be a certain amount, but it's an off-site easement. But I'd rather just cover that it's a change and note that in your approval. And then the removing the stormwater, just to be clear, that stormwater wasn't to meet any requirements whatsoever. That was something that was discussed at Planning Commission. I thought they were all in favor of it. The owner, Janine, had mentioned to me and some other residents in the area that, they have some stormwater problems on their site. I twisted Kevin's arm a little bit. He agreed to do that all-site improvement for the benefit of them and anybody else in the area, but it's not required for stormwater management for his site at all. So I just want everybody to be clear on that. That's why I only asked that people moralize. They could design anything they wanted, whatever the property owner wanted, as long as, we knew what they were doing.
The
And they chose not to do that.
the stormwater on Spatola's was also to benefit one of the adjacent homeowners, wasn't it?
Kevin, you can speak to that, because I'm not sure if it directly.
Behind Spatola's.
Right. Again, yes, that was the intent. That was the intent with Mr. Craig Kane. But I do believe that, like I said, I'm capturing 3/4 of it. And what we're doing, what he was allowed, we couldn't disturb any trees on Spatola property anyway, so it was very minimum what that effect and what that value was going to be. And I like to also say, I'm not going anywhere during construction. So if something pops up and there's anything at all I can do, we'll do it. As far as if he's having any problems, we might be able to go on his property, do something, plant some trees, things like that.
As part of all the development, stormwater agreements, development agreements, I have the power during construction to, if I see an issue, but I don't anticipate anything from their site. Maybe the next door neighbor warms up a little bit, and Kevin then can do what was originally designed, and they can work that out privately.
I'm wondering if someone should notify him, because if he was planning on having that done and planning on having his stormwater problems.
It wasn't going to lead. It was simply a berm. It was a
Infiltration
berm. It really wasn't going to be for detention. It was more for just some water. The water was still gonna get there. Just to try to slow it down.
Slow it down.
So we'll amend that condition as well. That was part of your original.
Okay. Can we leave it as if possible, we'll do? If
Absolutely.
they change their mind somewhat, if we get a hurricane, what is it? Whatever. Yeah, well,
Well, I guess the first question is the board inclined to authorize me to prepare the amended resolution to reflect what's been discussed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys have been taking care of the conversation down here. Does anyone else have any questions?
No.
No, I'm fine.
Do we have anything else from staff we need to know? No? I mean,
And the
I'm
second
agreeable.
question is whether or not you're amenable to letting county builders start, knowing the only thing that needs to be done is the amended resolution at this point.
That's fine with me. They
Fine with me.
posted
and the
this.
signing of the easement agreement by Spitalis.
Well, in our packet, there was a sign,
They haven't signed it yet, though, have they?
They will sign it.
Okay.
We're all buddies. We were kissing and hugging. all the time.
Okay. But y'all,
It took a little bit of time. We're all friends again.
okay.
All right, so I think you got direction and
We okay with them starting too?
Yeah.
I suppose, do we have to do an action item later for this or no?
no, I think
Okay.
it's no action item. You're just
Okay.
consenting they can start. You're telling the township and the engineer that you're okay.
I didn't know if there was an action item required for amending the agreement,
Well,
so.
I'm gonna provide a resolution
Oh, okay,
that you're gonna approve at a subsequent meeting.
okay, all right, very good.
Yeah, I would I don't know about, I guess the next meeting's next week already. I don't know if we could put, I guess we'll do it second meeting in October, but that's just a formality of amending the resolution.
I mean, if you were inclined, I could have it ready for your meeting next week if you want to take an action. I don't.
That's where I was hesitating.
It's not typically action at the first meeting.
Well, then we'll just wait. I mean, you're letting them start, so I think that's,
Yeah, I think we'll do that. We have agreements, escrow, everything's in place. If it wasn't for the offsite easement, this wouldn't be discussed in public. We would have a pre-con already and be moving forward.
All right.
Okay.
Very good. You have your
I
direction.
really appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Can I leave these, Craig, with you or Michael?
These are, Janine has the other set, the whole side.
You can give them to her tomorrow.
Yeah, the pre-con.
Okay, excellent.
what's the neighbor's name? Because I didn't catch
Craig Kane, CAIN.
it. CAIN.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just in case he was, depending on that being done and hadn't taken any steps on his own. Yeah.
Can sorry, I wasn't aware we were gonna have, audience members who have, item at the end of our motions list.
We're aware of it.
They are aware.
Now, if you want to, I think if you want to do it like it's first action. item,
Yeah,
we can get through the public.
Yeah, we'll get to the public hearing, so we don't have to, yeah, all right, very good. So the next items on the agenda are our public hearings. The first one is item A, ordinance 2022-09-03, the stormwater management amendment. Craig?
If I
or
may,
Jeff?
the state is requiring all municipalities to make certain amendments to their stormwater management ordinances. I think we discussed it before with the board, and I believe Craig was here, and you authorized the advertisement. And I have prepared the necessary ordinance, it's been advertised with the Bucks County Law Library, and also the Intelligencer and the proofs of publication have been provided. So if you have any particular nuances you want to get out, but it's a public hearing, so obviously if anyone has an interest, they've been advised.
I'll just add that no additional changes were made since planning commission signed off on it and you signed off on it. We had made no changes other than to incorporate, Mr. Martin's office incorporated those into the entire ordinance. And we promised you would see
We
that.
took out the zoning components.
And that's going to be on staff meeting this week to keep that going. As I mentioned the last meeting, that we'd like to still move forth. There's a couple zoning amendments, but this is required by DEP. Again, no changes since the last time you saw it. It's ready for your adoption, actually required to be adopted by the township by the end of the month. So
Does any of the board have any questions or comments in
Well-
regards to the?
Do we make a motion to open the hearing?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Jeff, you're,
Well, you know, most other townships don't have a motion to open a hearing, you just take public comment, but have at it.
well, if most don't, then do we have to?
You don't have to, you've already solicited public comment when you had the audience, so.
All right, is there any public comment in regards to this stormwater management amendment? No. I'm looking to you, Jeff, yeah, because you're right, this bill, well, we're going in uncharted territory for us now. Now how do I handle it?
By a motion to close the public hearing, you should do that.
Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing? Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second,
All right, the hearing is now closed. So now a motion to,
Well, I think you're on the agenda later. Jeff,
Oh,
to
do
be
we?
adopted. If you
Okay.
want to do it now, you can do it now while you're on the topic.
No,
No,
do it
he's-
in the action. Let's do the second hearing.
his steam's coming out of his ears.
Once we get to it, it's good. Plug and chew.
All right, so the next item on our agenda is item B, ordinance 2022-0904, amendments to chapter 15, part 5 of the Township's Code towing. I will take a motion to open the hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
second,
All those in favor?
aye,
Aye, all right.
This is also an ordinance that we request to be drafted. It's been discussed with the board before. The origination comes from Chief Closser, who sat down with me and the township manager and discussed wanting to, certainly the police want to have more control and we want to have more professional towing available in the township and also more expedient towing in the township. So we were asked to put this ordinance together. It's was drafted. It's been advertised both in the law reporter and in the Intelligencer, published with the law library. Proofs have all been provided to the township. And I don't believe it's changed in any substantial way since it was last reviewed by the board.
Okay. Does the board have any comments or questions?
I do not.
Is there any public comment in regards to the amendments to chapter 15, part 5 of the Township's Code? Since seeing none, I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next on the agenda, public comment. Is there any public comment here on any non-agenda items or comments on items that are not an action item at this time? Mike, anybody online?
No one's online.
All right. And we will now then move on to the next on the agenda, which is the action items. I don't know, should we, maybe we just blow through these pretty
Why don't we
quickly.
do like the first, like get through consent agenda,
Okay,
and then the one after consent agenda, we can bump up.
okay, sounds good. All right, so the first action item for this evening, I'm sorry, I've got to switch. All right, this time I will be looking for a motion from the board to approve the minutes of the August 15th, 2022 workshop business meeting and the September 12th, 2002 workshop meeting of the New Britain Township Board of Supervisors.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any amendments or changes to the minutes?
No.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carried. All right, at this time, I'll now be looking, we're moving on to, sorry, I have to switch back and forth.
Schedule
Yes, I know, schedule of bills. We're moving on to letter B, motion to schedule bills.
Make a motion to approve the scheduled bills as presented.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Next motion is letter C. I am looking for a motion. Oh, boy. Now, see, this is where we get into trouble. All right.
We have quite a consent agenda.
Yes, we do have, well, because I have a separate motions
Oh.
email and then the consent agenda is an entirely large thing. Yeah. All right, so I am looking for a motion for the board to approve all items on the consent agenda dated September 26, 2022 for the attachment.
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there anything that we need to know about specifically on the consent agenda, Mr. West?
Not unless there are any questions from the board.
Any questions for the board?
I do not have any questions.
Nope.
All right, and all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, so now, if we could, do I have to amend or can I just
It's
move?
on the
You
agenda.
can take it out of order. That's all.
Okay, all right,
You have
so
authority.
at this time, I will be looking for a motion to allow the use of portable lights at West Branch Park.
I make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. West?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is something that has been done historically in the township and a local soccer club, Rush, is someone in attendance tonight. And it's been a great thing for them to use our West Branch field. And they provide the portable lights. In the past, this has been done, how many years has it been? I think it's probably 4 or 5. 4 to 5 years. And in past meetings, the board was in a position to pass this motion so long as we get an agreement that, to the satisfaction of the solicitor. We're gonna do that this year. And the solicitor and I are actually working on it and almost have it to the point where it's complete. It will be signed this year.
And that, of course, is absolving us of any liability for the use of those lights, or,
Among other things.
thank you.
Among other things. Is there any other questions from the board?
No.
No. All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. All right. Very good. All right. So back to our regularly scheduled meeting. This is for me. Right. It's exhausting. At this time, I'll be taking a motion from the board to approve resolution 2022-16, King Road and Keller Road. Preliminary final approval per the attachments.
This is the Gilmore property for those of you that don't recognize it by the address.
Motion to approve.
Well, second.
We have a first and a second. If you guys would like to give us any background information or,
Nothing more than what we've already said, except just to remind the board that this is phase 1. And this is the first subdivision for this year, and we're hopeful that we can get in a position, we'll have the project in a position to have phase 2, beginning of 2023.
And we would hope to close quotes with the Gilmores prior to Thanksgiving.
Very
And then I already prepared the legal descriptions, assuming it was gonna get approved tonight, hopefully it will. So we'll be in position to get more of those documents to the solicitor's office and maybe even before that, so. I only have one question for Matt. You haven't heard from them. You haven't, okay? That's the thing I was nervous about is,
Nope, haven't heard anything.
so,
They've been given the plan.
everything, so. If anything comes up, Matt or I or Jeff will update you, at another meeting, but we're good to go after your vote tonight.
all right, very good. All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carried. Okay. Need to make sure this all lines up with each other. All right, I am now looking for a motion from the board to approve resolution 2022-17, 315 Old Lime Kiln Road, preliminary final approval for the attachments.
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right,
I don't have anything additional. The board saw this 2 weeks ago, unless the solicitor and engineer have anything that has changed in the meantime.
I think the resolution incorporates all the comments and changes we've had to the engineer's office, and I think it's ready to proceed. And I think it's a 2 lots, it's 3 lots, but only 2 new lots.
all right, very good. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carried.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
may I ask the board if it would be okay for us to process the signing of things at the end of the meeting, so there's not a lot of moving paper?
Yeah, that's fine.
Less distracting.
Yeah,
Just so,
There's a lot of
just so the
paper.
board knows that, don't go and scramble. We need some signatures from you.
it's
Nah,
happens here if you need to.
Thank you.
That's fine. All right, at this time, I will now be looking for a motion from the board to approve resolution 2022-18, 84 Schoolhouse Road, preliminary final approval for the attachments.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, Mr. Woods.
So there was something that came up on this project related to a potential easement next to the 84 Schoolhouse, and I am not going to butcher it. I'm going to turn it over to our engineer and solicitor because they worked that part out.
If you'll recall, they've agreed that if you're able to acquire that easement, they'll construct the trail to the adjoining development. If you're not able to secure it, they'll provide the funds necessary to construct it when you do acquire that easement. That's been incorporated into the agreement, on the resolution, I should say, and it's basically you've covered that issue.
Have we approached the owner? That's,
Buyer's
Buyer's
choice.
choice.
Buyer's choice.
Have not yet.
okay, I think we need to move on
I
that.
was gonna ask who should take the lead on that.
Huh?
I was gonna go that direction. I just don't want that to drop off and we forget about it, so. I think it should come from the township first, whether it's.
Okay.
With
Mhm.
us or not.
I'll get in touch with them.
That's.
Thanks.
If you have any questions, just.
Because it would be cheaper if you can acquire it and they'll construct it during the construction phase, as opposed to paying prevailing wages sometime down the road.
Yes,
Right.
like to have them do it while they're there, if we can get the easement.
If you need anything, just let me
Do we also need an easement over part of the
A little bit of Colebrook.
Colebrook?
What does
know.
theirs go to the end?
Open space.
Well, if it's not in the right of way, you're gonna need an easement for that.
I have to look that up.
Okay.
Because they didn't extend that all the way to the property line, if I recall.
No, they didn't. Ends right at the intersection.
Something else, I guess we should contact them.
Portion
To,
of the
Mhm.
portion of it.
Yeah. Is Brian Wentz the HOA director over there?
Mm-mm. Not in Colebrook.
Okay. I might be getting that confused with another development.
So
Anyway,
do we need to alter
No.
anything going forward?
Not with respect to this development, but obviously if you can secure the additional easement of Colebrook, I'm sure we can convince them to continue that short space till they get to where you need to get.
Okay,
Everything's set up for.
Just for the portion of our buyer's choice. is this-
They're willing to do the installation. It's just a matter of getting the easement
Correct,
across
Yeah,
here.
everything is-
all right. Is there any other questions? Is there any public comment in regards to this agenda item? Since none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
All right,
I,
Aye.
I said.
Oh, okay, sorry. Motion carried. All right, so where are we here? We are now on letter G. Thank you. I will now take a motion from the board. It's,
Here, I can help you right there.
yeah, I know. I'll now take a motion from the board to approve resolution 2022-19, authorizing an arrest without warrant for the attachments.
so moved.
I'll second.
All right,
So this is having to do with our continued updating of our police department policies as we move towards accreditation. And I'd like to turn it over to Chief Clouser for any additional information.
Thank you. So this is just to update our policies. It's a requirement by accreditation that we have an ordinance in place for, an ordinance. Resolution. And then we can mess that up the first time. Resolution in place that authorizes the police department to arrest without warrant.
It's basically related to only enforcing your ordinances on disorderly conduct and the like. Not for felonies and things like that. So it's, you can arrest for without a warrant. Various circumstances for a felony. This is intended to be able to arrest the matters that are covered by your local ordinances, and some of your disorderly conduct offenses are covered by your local ordinances.
It's only for subsections of the crime code: public drunkenness, disorderly conduct, underage drinking, and obstruction of highways and other passages. The state statute authorizes arrest without warrant in those cases, provided that the local township has also authorized it via resolution or ordinance. This resolution is designed to do exactly that.
Thank you.
very good, thank you. Is there any questions from the board?
No.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye, motion carried. All right, now. Motion letter I. Is that H? So all the letters are not with the motions in the email that I get, and they look like they're out of order as well. So I don't know what. That's why I'm having such a hard time up here.
should be called paper.
Well, that's not. Yes, we'll get there. All right, so this time I'll be looking for a motion from the board to approve resolution 2022-20, non-uniform pension minimal municipal obligation for the attachments.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Boy, oh boy, do I have good news tonight. And if you've all had a chance to review the memo that our finance director, John Bates, forwarded to the board last week, I am happy to announce that the non-uniform pension minimum municipal obligation for 2023 is $0. That's a big deal. I've never seen that in my career. And so that is a testament to this township of your continued dedication to making sure our pensions are fully funded. And that is something that we need to continue, to continue that trend. One word of caution. Last year was an amazing performing year. So just keep that in mind for next year, because this year has not been too kind to the pension plans. So while it looks good, it's based upon last year's numbers. Last year's numbers were really good. That being said, we expect that we will be getting our state aid from the state, probably the end of this week or early next week, that will be able to apply to both of our pension plans, which will exceed what our 2022 obligations are. Past practice of this board is to apply that extra funds to those pensions, which does nothing but help, continued help for the pension plans. And so if I could just talk about the police pension, MMO also, that too is a pretty small number, just under $72,000. So again, hats off to the pension committee and this board for the continued dedication to both the pension plans for the township.
All right, very good. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. All right, so motion I will now be looking for a motion from the board to approve resolution 2022-21, the police pension minimum municipal obligation per the attachments.
So moved.
Is there a second? We've already had a presentation from Mr. West on that. Is there any questions in regards to that?
No.
All right,
This is just a required process that the board has to do every year. And so next month, you will see the allocation of this year's MMO like we've done in years previous.
very good. All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. All right, next is item J. We're looking for a motion from the board to adopt ordinance 2022-09-03, the stormwater management amendment per the attachments.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we've already had our presentation or our hearing, as it were. Is there any further questions in regards to this ordinance?
No.
No, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I've been thinking nothing better to do the rest of the night than spend it here, but I'm gonna just be showing in
Thank you.
charge.
Thank you.
Your television show.
Good night.
Good night. Yes, all right. The next item on the agenda is letter K. I'll be looking for a motion from the board to adopt ordinance 2022-09-04, amendments to chapter 15, part 5 of the Township's Code, towing for the attachments.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we've already had our hearing. Are there any other questions after the fact?
No.
Sensing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carried. Okay, letter L. I will now be looking for a motion for the board to adopt the 2022 capital improvement plan per the attachments.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. West, take it away.
So I'm actually going to ask the board to consider amending this motion. You remember during my presentation 2 weeks ago, where I said, as we get into this and navigate the connection between the capital improvement plan and the budget, that spanning years issue, the 2022 to 2023, 2023 to 2024. As we've been thinking about it the past 2 weeks, I'm going to recommend that the board consider revising this capital improvement plan, nothing substantive in the plan itself, to just have each column be connected to the next year's budget. So instead of 2022, 2022, 23, we're going to replace it with 2023, and then 2024, 2025, 2026.
On a calendar year basis.
Correct. Calendar year that then links up with the funding document, which is the budget. So that would be the only, I'm asking that the board update their motion to include that.
Nothing further is required if the board entertains that.
Right, it's just a,
You're fine to go forward.
yeah,
So the
okay.
first column would be 23
Correct.
and then, okay.
Because as we're getting, as we're working heavily on the budget, we're seeing, look, we're not going to do anything in 2022. We're already in the 2022 budget.
Right,
It makes sense, since the budget is the funding document, use that column, which will then link up directly with the budget. We're still going to be doing the capital improvement plan the first half of the year, but then every subsequent year is going to be on that calendar year rolling basis.
okay. We don't have to, it's a public document that we're approving. It's,
Subject to the amendment as discussed.
yeah, so we,
It's more of a revision than amendment. I mean, I know there's a subtle difference.
right.
It's not changing, since it's not changing any of the calculus of the numbers underneath it.
Right,
It's just changing the appearance of the dates.
okay,
There's,
okay,
if it were changing the substance itself of the document, I would see a need to actually entertain, re-advertise it or whatever else you need to do, but in this circumstance, you don't need to do that.
okay. And do we need to amend the motion?
Probably be safe, it wouldn't
Okay.
hurt to do so.
All right,
I make a motion to amend the motion to approve the 5-year capital improvement plan to incorporate the changes discussed by Mr. West, changing the form of the years to match the budget by changing them to a calendar year.
sounds good. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have an amended motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, I will take now I need a motion now to approve.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so now I will take a motion to approve the 2022 capital improvement plan. Is
Make a motion.
there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Did we cross all the Ts and dot all the Is on that one?
Very well, Mr. Chairman.
Good staff, thanks you. We're really proud of this document and thanks for the support of this board.
Thank you very much. Job well done.
Thank you.
All right, so we are now on to item M. I will be looking for a motion for the board to award the 2022-23 Bucks County Consortium salt bid per the attachments.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Mr. West?
This is something that the township goes through the Bucks County Consortium of Communities. It is a combined salt bid. All of the communities inside of the consortium bid it as a whole. And this is our allocation for 2022, 2023.
Is there any questions?
So long as it is another white stuff free, we'll be okay.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. All right, and according to my documents here,
And
should be item N.
Mhm.
We're looking for a motion from the board to approve the Chalfont New Britain Joint Sewer Authority's request for a waiver from posting financial security for pump station number 4 construction project and any associated stormwater management fee per the attachments.
make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
This was before the board 2 weeks ago, and the request was made by representatives from the sewer authority. As has been past practice of this board, there would be to waive these fees for a like authority, just like the township itself.
Any other questions for the?
No.
No?
Mhm.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. That concludes all of our action items for this evening. The next items on the agenda are information items. We'll start with A, Township Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a couple of things tonight that I'd like to talk about with the board. First thing, if you haven't noticed yet, road paving for Cedar Hill Road and Schoolhouse Road are complete as of this afternoon. We'll roll through there this evening and it looks great. Line markings are going to be marked by Public Works crew either tomorrow or Wednesday in preparation for the line striping. They go out and do all the measurements and the markings. Speaking of road paving, if you remember, this board allocated an additional $100,000 of general fund money towards supplemental in-house paving. Years past, the township purchased a road paving machine for the Public Works Department, which hadn't gotten much use, and we wanted to start using it. So on your next drive about, the Public Works crew is out on Creek Road. That's the same segment where Public Works crew created the French drain in front of 123 Creek Road. What an amazing job. I don't know if you remember driving over that pre-construction and post-construction. I mean, it was like a pothole to swallow your car, pothole upon pothole upon pothole. So we are out there performing some in-house road paving for Creek Road. The township has received a draft resolution late this afternoon for Act 57 of 2022. I forwarded some information to the board a couple of weeks ago about this. That resolution will be circulated to the board as part of the October meeting schedule. This act takes effect on October 10th. And the township has 90 days to adopt a resolution or ordinance directing the tax collector to waive additional charges for real estate taxes in certain situations. And if you want to know more about that, talk to Nicole. Yeah, she and I were talking about
You
it.
don't want to know.
My eyes glazed over. I was like, oh my goodness, just another thing for you to manage. She said, yes. That's the only thing that I have to talk to the board about this evening, but I do have a couple of folks here who would also like to address the board. Assistant Manager Mike Walsh has a couple of things that he'd like to talk to the board about, and Finance Director John Bates also has some finance related information.
Very good.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Good evening.
Good evening.
So as everybody knows, we had our fall festival on September 17th. I know some of you were unable to attend, but I just wanted to make sure I gave everybody an update on how things went. First off, by starting off thanking staff, the Veterans Committee, Park and Rec Committee, for their help planning the event. And special shout out to everyone that volunteered that day of the event to allow us to not fully staff it with administrative employees, which is good for us. And the Public Works Department was there the entire day, but I'd like to thank them as well, because without them, would have been a lot more running around for everybody else. For those of you that were there, I believe this was possibly one of our best turnouts as far as attendance goes. Everybody loved the bubbles, those types of things. It was a phenomenal event. We actually filled the entire football field and soccer field out there with cars from 11 to 2. So it was very packed,
Including all of these. I mean, that
the
Yeah.
whole
everything.
All the park was very full. First year, I think we cooked over 400 hamburgers and hot dogs. All gone. First time we're not making a giant donation to the local food lottery, good and bad, I guess. The other thing that was nice to see was there were a lot of local businesses that were vendors in it that were getting a lot of good attention, which is, one of the other keys we want to continue to focus on for this event. As it stands now, with staff costs, everything, my preliminary draft thing has us raising about $4,000 out of this, which is great sponsorship turnout. I'd like to thank everybody that was a sponsor for the event. One of our best years raising funds for this event. I think it was very phenomenal. Notwithstanding all the good, there were some things that we would like to continue to pay attention to and work on. The car show was less than ideal this year. There were a couple of things we noticed as far as helping with some traffic flow and things like that, that we had some volunteers make notes on that we're going to take back to the committee and really take seriously to try and update that next year. But I think there's a lot of good things to build off what we just accomplished on the 17th. It was a very good day, and I think a lot of people really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Mike. I can say that I was there, and it was a high attendance, much higher than last year. I can also tell Mr. Hood that Toro Guacamole was there with the tent. So you missed that. My only
Quite a
comment is I
line the
wish
whole
that,
day.
huh?
They had quite a line the whole day too.
And my only comment is I wish that the bubbles had stayed on after for the volunteers that were there so that they too could enjoy the bubbles, but a small thing. Thank you so much for all the work, because you still did the majority of it, I'm sure. And just to state that we need more volunteers to come out and help to join Park and Rec and just volunteer in general. So we could have used a few more people.
And thank you for the board for supporting the event. It's a great community event. I think it's one of the best ones we put on all year. The second item I have to talk about is the board is aware. I need some direction as far as the Park and Rec's vacancy position right now. As you were aware, on August 15th, the board authorized staff to advertise the vacancy for applicants. The due date for applicants is set for Wednesday, September 28th. What I'm looking for from the board would be, would the board be interested in interviewing
all the applicants, or would the board be interested in reviewing the applicants and then selecting specific applicants to interview for the staff to set up interviews for, as we've done previously?
How many applicants do we have as of right now?
As of right now, we have 5.
So it's doable. It's not like we've got, a gajillion applicants where we'd be here for 5 days. It's manageable if you keep it short and concise. If you want to interview all of them in a public meeting. To
We'll
introduce
just have them,
themselves.
maybe have them come to the next, well, it's at 10 AM.
The second meeting in October.
The second meeting in October, perhaps. Just so we can,
How does that coordinate with the next, when the next Park and Rec meeting is supposed to be?
They'll miss it.
who,
Hmm.
do we have any people who are already on a committee who we have already interviewed?
There are 2 people that are currently serving as an advisory member that have applied to fill the voting seat.
Membership,
Yeah.
and we have interviewed them.
Yes,
Okay.
I believe their names are Kathleen Doodle and Brooke Newborn. Have both applied.
That was my compatriot at the raffle
Mhm.
table for 2 hours. I don't think we need to re-interview them.
No, I don't think we need to re-interview them. Can you see if the other 3 are able to come to the work session?
So you're saying not interview those 2 that we've already interviewed?
Correct.
So focus on the 3.
I will certainly try
Ask
to get them
them?
to come to the 3rd. Is the board, if they cannot, would the board want me to make those appointments for October 17th?
I would believe so,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
How about Zoom? If they could do a Zoom meeting? Like it,
On the 3rd.
yeah, for the 3rd.
Yeah, if they're not
Just
working.
it's a morning meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they're, if they're working or whatever, it's may not be easy for them to do, but see if they're available for Zoom on the 3rd.
So we
They
have
can't tell the person.
one voting member vacancy, and how many, do we have any, that is, if someone from the advisory moves up there, then we'd have a second
We have an
vacancy.
Advisory seat empty. I know Kathleen Doodle asked for her, about her son applying for it, but I don't believe he has at this point for the,
Is she's on the committee, right, as advisory?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, as is,
Sorry.
as is Brooke Newborn, yeah,
Correct.
okay.
Is this personnel or not?
Not as far as interviewing and choosing is not.
Okay. Because I'm doing a Zoom interview in here.
Oh, my bad, sorry.
Who was
Is
that?
is
I mute my mic, I apologize for that.
is hard to
I mean,
do. So I didn't know if we could do that interview in the executive session where we're in a small room over Zoom. So
If you're doing it as an interview of that type where it's more of a public.
Okay.
It should be done in public if you can.
okay, all right. I'm just trying to figure out how we would do that. 'Cause how are we each gonna see the person if they're in Zoom on a,
We would project it on the screen. It's less than ideal.
yeah,
Less than ideal.
I would rather meet the person in person.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
so I think we,
Certainly, if your plan was to meet with them in an open meeting. If they're here, then the Zoom is just a matter of conveying them, not a matter of, it's the same thing. It should still be held in public if you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
in person.
okay, so,
Preference would be in person,
yes,
even if we have to wait till the second meeting.
okay,
okay, so you prefer in person,
yeah,
is what I'm hearing for the 3rd. But I will shoot for the 3rd with everybody that's in
Available.
there. And I will fall through with that with the board.
okay.
This creates a segue into my 3rd item. The topic that we are all excited and anxious for, the 300th
Mm.
anniversary and 300 committee.
Motion to adjourn.
Great, Mr. Hood's on that board, isn't he, in that commission?
So, as you may know, the 300th anniversary is June 14th of 2023 is the official anniversary of New Britain Township. After meeting with staff to review the history of the committee, just make sure we're all on the same page. It seems there were approximately 30 members that were participating pre-COVID. whether they all showed up at every meeting. Was not the case, but the volunteers consisted of board members, staff, and residents. And as I said, they only met a handful of times during COVID. Back in April, the board approved what is your vision for, you want to see the 300th anniversary as part of the celebration. That included the selling of a 300th anniversary collectible, a float in the July 4th parade, and a display at the Fall Festival. What staff recommends the board consider formalizing this committee because it was not previously formalized. By creating an ad hoc committee to only exist to help plan, lead, and enact the board's vision for this. The recommendation is for the board to consist of a board member, a staff member, and 5 volunteers. As a way to respect those that have been volunteering and taking part in the process before, it is ideal that we, if the board was okay with that, reaching out to those volunteers, advising them of the board's vision, what we're looking for, and generating an applicant pool to fill that committee from those volunteers first before broadening the audience to kind of respect those that have been involved since we initiated this process and COVID kind of derailed us. Just looking for feedback from the board direction so we can start moving forward with forming that committee to start making progress on those events and things that we need to make happen for the 300th anniversary.
I have no problem formalizing it, but I think that the people that have been involved from the beginning and have been in attendance and have been concerned should not be turned away. And my take on this is we need as many volunteers as we can get to get it working. So I don't know about limiting it. Or turning people away. I think we're gonna need all the
I
volunteers.
think
we
you
can
can
get.
create subcommittees based on, I know that there were,
Float decoration.
well, there were people in attendance. We averaged, I think, 8 or maybe 10 per meeting. Not always the same people. Everyone kind of had their own speciality, as it were.
Okay.
So I think that you could find, you know, enough people to run with the 3 different options. Now, I would suggest having a second board member as part of it. I would think 2 board members would probably, I'm sorry, guys and girls.
He's trying to pull us in. This is your project.
I never said it was my project, but I was somehow appointed, I don't know how, to be the lead on it
You open your
without
mouth
my
and- You open your mouth and somebody have to do something for the
300.
300.
But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I think we should also need to consider setting a budget for the ad hoc committee to work with pursuant to going to the board with hands open saying, may we have more?
So what I'm hearing from the board is keep the volunteers, which I think is a good idea. And we will do our best to.
I think you
convey
need a
that
core
to
group though.
everybody, But
I think a core group is important. And then
That's kind of how we had envisioned it. in
it got very messy at the
wanting to
meetings
have
with too many
that-
people.
appointed voting members of the committee. It goes out to the entire group of people who are involved and were on that contact list to say, look, just because, you know, first of all, do you want to be a part of this committee? If yes, okay,
Yeah.
great.
Mhm.
We might not even get 5 people who want to actually be on the committee, but it's also going to be like, look, we still need you involved and we want you to attend these meetings because there are going to be opportunities for you to help. It's just as a decision-making mechanism to help staff manage the process. We need a simplified approach with a core group of people, to use your phrase, to help us get things moving.
Well, I think whatever we do, we need to get a move on it
Yeah.
really quickly. Since
We wanna
it's
do
gonna
this
be
tomorrow. If you're
October.
Okay with it, we're gonna start it like going out to the committee tomorrow.
I'd send it out to the people that were previously involved and see who shows up and who's, you know, their specialities, as you
Well,
put it.
the last time we met was 2019, I believe,
God.
so
So
COVID.
there's been a lot said, so I just want to finalize what the makeup the board is looking for.
I was gonna
Going
say,
forward,
can
sorry.
we get something in writing for Monday? So that we can,
Do we
So-
need something in writing?
So, okay, so what we were thinking, correct me if I'm wrong. We've been meeting internally,
Right.
how to manage this thing.
right,
Trying to be respectful of those who have already dedicated their time to these meetings.
Mm.
And yet being inclusive and yet still wanting to be directed, and we need help. We thought we wanted to communicate if the board is interested in moving forward with creating an ad hoc committee. The total number of people, you can define how many people that should be. We want to make contact with this group tomorrow. Because we need to know how many people are actually interested in serving on this committee. We're going to tell them what the board authorized. So look, this committee is going to be in charge of these three things. This is what our vision is. This is what we need help doing. If you are interested, please let us know by Friday. We want to be in a position to present to you on Monday how many people are interested in serving.
I would, if I may, I would add one other sentence to that email. You have to be willing to commit to attending every meeting and participating, because it's October of 2022 and we have, not that much time.
sorry,
Go
guys.
ahead.
I
That's it.
would email, as you email to each of these individuals. Tell them we have three key components to this. Is there one of these three components that you're more interested than another? Because then we can find a subcommittee head in that group, hopefully.
That's good.
Commemorative item.
Yep.
You know, parade float
I like
Fall
that.
festival.
and fall festival.
Very good. I like that.
2 board members, 1 staff,
5.
4 or 5
Well, I'm
citizens.
gonna make sure you have an odd number on the committee total.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
Firm commitment on the number.
I was gonna say 4 because I give
Suggestion?
7.
I think Sean's wants to
Okay.
volunteer.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
If you're gonna have 2 board members on the committee, do you need a staff member on the, you can
Yes.
detail.
Yes, no, we need the staff member needs to be there to take minutes.
You can have them there as township staff. They don't need to be a member of the committee to do that.
A voting member of the committee, that's true.
That's correct.
Okay.
If you're asking them to go there and do
Right.
that, that's fine, but you don't necessarily need to make them a voting member of the committee.
Right.
You can have somebody there take those minutes and do those things. Then you could fit 2 members of the
Okay.
board on there and then the public works.
2 members of board, 3 committee heads, and 2 at large. As it were,
I like it.
7.
And I
that's
would,
7.
I would make sure that it's clear to people that we intend to form subcommittees for those 3.
Yep. That's
That
why I
way,
said
if they
3
don't
committee
want-
heads, right,
If they're not able to commit to being one of those 5 people, maybe they want to commit to one of those
Right.
subcommittees.
but the core board is 7.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, each of the subcommittees,
Thank you all.
we just
Really
build an
appreciate
organization chart out of nothing.
that. And
Thank you, Sean.
with that, I believe I'm turning it over to John Bate.
Thanks, Mike. So yeah, I just have two quick points from the finance department. First, the all-important 2023 budget process continues to progress. Township staff provided Mr. Jones a draft, a preliminary draft earlier today, so we're looking forward to his feedback and guidance on that as we move forward. We continue to schedule budget review meetings for any any supervisors who wish to participate in these meetings as we move forward to a presentation that I believe is at the next work session for where we stand with that first draft of the 23 budget. We're still waiting on a couple key components that will be filtering in this week, data points that we're looking for as far as EIT and LST estimates and projections for both 22 and 23 from Keystone, which is expected by end of day tomorrow. So data continues to be coming in and we will update the schedule as necessary. The other piece, does anyone have any questions budget wise, where we stand at this point?
No.
The only other piece I had was last week we had a representative from the Department of the Audit General in for the 2020 and 2021 liquid fuels audit. So Mr. John Socket was in for 2 days last week, reviewing all the township's documentation and procedures as it regards the liquid fuels account. Happy to report no audit findings for both 20 or 21. And he made it a point to not single us out, but he made a reference to, I think, to each of us anytime we went in or spoke with them, to commend township staff for their documentation and preparation in regards to this audit. So we were provided a pretty lengthy list of documentation that he would have needed to see. And as the township is moving towards our digital paperwork procedures and all that stuff, I think that was a really helpful piece. Kind of a hybrid this year, going back to 20 and 21. So we didn't have everything digital, but I felt that really helped and moved his process along further, and helped him with that. But comparing us to other municipalities that he's currently dealing with, he said this was a walk in the park for him. So I was happy to report that as well.
So we passed.
We did pass, yes, with flying colors.
Very good.
Very good.
Just gonna ask you how things are going with the escrow accounts.
So meetings have been scheduled. We've moved more towards a weekly process now. We had our first meeting last week. The first steps will be to really. This is going to be a slow process, I feel like, because there is a lot of data as we are looking to either one, as I referenced in that memo, kind of segueing into that memo as far as the accounting software that they were using and how this escrow process at the township hasn't really used Edmunds to the best of its ability in the past. There's a lot of things in there that I think will be useful in transitioning this over to the finance department, and looking forward to taking some of the work off other plates and making it a full finance function. So another meeting scheduled for tomorrow, I believe, where we'll get back together and see where we left it at the last meeting. It was more trying to get a sense of, we have a lot of accounts in there, be it accounts that don't have their own dedicated escrow account or do, and it's basically, it really needs to be cleaned up. I feel like it's gotten out of hand a little bit, and now having it be a full township process will help us get there faster.
It's not difficult work, it's just tedious work. And it's gonna be a, one-to-one mapping exercise of here's this whole pool of money. Now we've got to assign it to each one of these accounts and
Set up the accounts, do that sort of thing.
The flow will be a lot easier to handle once we get the software situation figured out and have all of that data loaded into that software. And then it'll just be improving each and every year.
And the other big thing we came away from our first meeting is we have about 190 escrow accounts and about 40 of them appear to be inactive. So we've started that process of finding out whether they can be closed out, gotten rid of, to make this transition a little bit easier on us, rather than transferring 190 over that may not need to go in.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
that
Thank you.
concludes my report.
Is that also kind of departmental reports
Yes.
or?
Mhm.
All right, any other questions? I guess that we will see if the chief has anything to say this evening.
My report, you have in front of you. I'd just like to highlight that we are in the process of field testing some body worn cameras. And we did get preliminary approval for the PCC grant that we applied for. So we should have that finalized towards the beginning of October. And that's a matching grant for $26,500.
Very cool. It's always nice when you find money from somewhere else to pay for these things. Are there any questions?
It's not found money. I think we've contributed to that.
Well,
goal.
yes.
It's just coming back to us, yes. I don't
Any
have any
questions for Chief?
questions.
Everyone good?
Mhm.
All right, you got off easy tonight. Thank you, Chief. Solicitor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the board is aware, I submitted our monthly written solicitor's report earlier today. Two things I will highlight there. One, I believe when we last met 2 weeks ago, we were in the process of obtaining a withdrawal of the application before the zoning hearing board on 428 Old Iron Hill Road. That application has been withdrawn. The agreement being that they will continue to work with township staff and with the engineer toward an ideal of submitting a permit application within 90 days of that withdrawal and obtaining permits within 180 days of that withdrawal, keeping them on time and on task. The second thing, and it was something that Supervisor McKay brought up earlier tonight, when the township manager first brought it up, we are working on the agreement with PA Rush over the portable lights for use at one of the township parks. There was a previous attempt at an agreement there. The township manager tried to get it ready for you in time. He was working diligently to do that. I was not comfortable with the language in it, and I asked that it be postponed to a later date so that we could attend to the language of that agreement properly. Looking into things like liability and maintenance and security and things like that. So we'll be working on that in the next week or two and hopefully have that put together for you rather quickly. But your motion and resolution tonight to approve that as is past practice is certainly fine and appropriate, and we'll get that ready for you as soon as we can.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir. Any questions in regards to the solicitor's report?
No.
All right. Engineers report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Uh-oh.
You asked an update on High Point and why they weren't starting construction. The only thing Janine and I could get out of them was it's taking a while to get all their permits finalized and just, paperwork stuff. There's nothing, just moving slower than they thought. I'm gonna keep digging to see if there's more, because if they're gonna start, most people don't want to start on a job like that right before winter sets in. So this, I'm gonna guess that maybe they'll delay it, or at least just focus on demolition with the building and internal building related stuff, not any site work. So that's all the update I could get out of them. Planning Commission, just one note for tomorrow night. I guess I'll come back here tomorrow night. The old Wawa, I don't know if anybody saw it yet.
Yes.
Is gonna be proposed. They have need variances, but a Dunkin' Donuts, Papa John's, so that'll be the exciting one at the corner of County Line and 202. There's a couple others in there. I don't have a whole list. I'm sure that'll.
Oh, PennDOT's gonna have a field day with that one.
I think we will first.
I'd
And
let them go to PennDOT first.
do we need another Dunkin' Donuts across the street from the Dunkin' Donuts that's there?
It's gonna be relocated. You're gonna get in.
Maybe.
Is there really room on that property for two separate stores plus parking
Papa
plus?
John's is really impact. They just do takeout. It's really the Dunkin'.
Oh, it's like that old Domino's. Like they had one over at airport or at 5 Points.
Yeah.
It's an oven and a delivery truck.
All I'm gonna say is I think this is one where I want to get this in front of you to get some feedback, because, they're gonna need some relief, whether you oppose it or not, the variances. I think once we're done planning commission, maybe they come to, I don't think they're in any hurry, but they want to get some feedback from the township, but there are issues. And I think the board needs to weigh on those early and not later. I think you have to come to some type of resolution on what you'd like to see there, what's palatable and what relief they need before they even go to PennDOT. Because to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of what PennDOT's putting out lately. And I'm not alone, just about every engineer office, they're making mistakes. I think they're over, not enough staff, they're outsourcing, there's no continuity. Someone just grabbing a review, doing, so I'm not really. I don't really want to put it in their hands to make a decision. I think that's really the impact would be, the chief's gonna get a call, or Matt's gonna get a call when there's an accident out there again.
I was just gonna,
Right,
yeah,
so,
go back to chief and ask about, I think that's a high accident intersection.
So since the new Wawa relocated, you have the light there has been a decrease in accidents in that area. However, yeah, we're definitely gonna see an increase in accidents.
the reason I brought it up was I'm gonna take a hardline approach tomorrow night, planning commission. because it needs zoning relief, they'll need to come in front of this board, or at least Sean will give an update about the variances, whether you oppose it or not. But
Right in, right out,
yeah, that's not proposed, but that's in our review, so.
right in, right out.
I believe that's it. We have another meeting, so I have a draft October report already sitting on my desk, so there's so many changes on here. I'm not gonna go through anymore, and township staff will see that report next week.
I have just one other question for you. I don't know if I'm opening a can of worms, but how's the Toll Brothers
I have it on my
proposal?
list, but I figured I wouldn't talk.
Okay.
So I got a sketch of an asked to meet out there about 2 weeks ago. But I was anticipating a by right plan that you requested to show us what's by right for the impervious. And they still haven't getting that to us. So this is what happened. They tried like, yeah, but what about over here? And so Matt was gonna hear this update on Wednesday and try a staff meeting. They did go meet with Creed and Tire and have a nice entrance, green it all up. I actually thought it was a good start. They asked to meet out there, Janine and I, and I'm like, we haven't even responded because I'm still waiting for the by right plan that you requested in the town. So, and we've been busy. We've had a lot of other projects, so it was on our list today to go over, and then I was gonna get an update and discuss things.
So
I'm not
basically,
in there.
nothing has
You
changed.
know, they're moving so slow and it's just, you know. If that went away, I know no one's gonna, you guys aren't gonna be that upset, but I think they still have some issues with the by right plan and that's what they promised you, so. That's the update for now, but I do have and I say not even a plan, just a sketch of the colored, you know. Move some spaces here, add some green, add a crosswalk. They're trying to meet what he said, but it's not easy. I don't know if that was the property owner actually signed off on that, or if that was just tolls, here's what we like to present, so.
Okay.
I'll know more in a few weeks.
Just a quick update. Wanted to know. Okay.
Any other questions in regards to the engineer's report? All right, well, second to last item on the agenda. Are there any board of supervisor comments?
Me first.
Yeah, I usually start at that end, so I'm starting down here this time.
I just want to echo what Mary Beth said earlier about the Fall Festival. It's a great event, great family event. Heard a lot of feedback from people who were here that they appreciated having a fun event to bring their families to. We lucked out with beautiful weather, so that certainly helped. Thank you to all the township staff and volunteers who helped with that event.
I think that's about it, but my thanks again, and my thanks to my fellow supervisor who helped me unload my car. And try and put up my tent, but I left that for other people. But I really do think that it is a premier township event and that we can continue to build on it. And continue to add things, and I think word will get around, and I think our attendance is gonna continue to go up. So thank you again.
This person came in late. I didn't know whether she had any.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
get to that. So is there anything else?
That's it, I think.
Gotcha. We had public comment earlier in the meeting. Was there anything that you would come in to address this evening?
I was just here for the Delesio tract and the builders, our builders said that tonight would be the final meeting.
Oh, okay.
Was there anything that I guess?
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah.
Will the permits be mailed to the builder? Will it be the landowner?
There's still a process to get, there's a couple more months of. Finalize the documents, agreements, record plans, so. We can't control that, it's a back and forth with the attorney and engineer, but it's a small project, so it could go pretty quickly, but. And then the plans get recorded, agreements get recorded, then there's a pre-construction meeting, and then you can start pulling permits at that.
So the actual subdivision is approved.
It was approved by the supervisor tonight, and it still needs to be recorded, and all the documents recorded.
Still have more.
Yeah, you should take some, that job, maybe a month.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I might as well ask. I mean,
Just the third.
okay, very cool. All right, well, thank you for coming this evening.
I want to, the world's better, you better want to.
Well, yeah, You wouldn't want to watch that Monday Night Football game. Two teams that just, meh.
It hasn't started yet. There's still time.
All right, so before we adjourn, I'd like to make the following announcement, unless there's something else that I do this sometimes, and then I'm told I need to.
Thank you.
The next meeting of the Board of Supervisors of New Britain Township will take place on Monday, October 3rd, 2022 at 10 a.m. here at the Township Building. Agenda and meeting materials will be posted on the Township's website prior to the meeting date at www.newbritantownship.org. As well, the recording of this evening's meeting will be available on the Township's YouTube page within the next 24 to 36 hours. After those announcements, I will now take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
I,
Aye, motion carries. Thank you all. Very cool.
Because you have to sign.
Hit the mic.
are these all? It's on?
These are all for me.
Okay, so we're not done yet.
No, yeah, you're not done.